Today News Update.
This is your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Friday, July 1st. So glad you can join us. Barbados has the capacity to fulfill its obligations to the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. So maintained Prime Minister Mia Mottley, who dismissed concerns raised over the country's ability to repay IMF debt in a 7-year period. Mottley suggested that her critics were using the total $928 million to be repaid to excite and was speaking without context. The Prime Minister made the comments as she addressed the launch of selected papers and speeches of Alistair McIntyre at the Errol Barrow Centre for Creative Imagination last night.
More and more, as I read sometimes in newspapers, I wonder whether people have lost perspective and lost context. For to hear that $900 million from an IMF program is something that will cripple a country when that constitutes a mere 6.4% of its debt, and at no stage will garnish more than 4% of the revenues in servicing the debt, tells me that that figure has been used to excite persons without context. Because if context was placed, then you would realize that that amount is not only one of the smallest amounts, but that the capacity to service the debt is more than manageable. And that thirdly, if you look at it from the perspective that the debt was used to be able to secure from buses to transport people home near and far, to garbage trucks, to equipment to deal with roads, to a whole range of things, then you have context and perspective.
Prime Minister Mia Mottley says her government has repaired more than 60 roads around the country since 2018. She made the disclosure at today's groundbreaking ceremony for the Road Works Global Project at Carmichael Road, St. George, which is a component of the Inter-American Development Bank's Road Rehabilitation and Improving Connectivity of Road Infrastructure program.
Government recognized that one of the consequences of having the inheritance that we have with the high percentage of roads per capita per mile is that it places undue burden on the central government to maintain those roads. Similarly, we've had an explosion in the number of vehicles owned by Barbadians, and to that extent the obligations on central government to be able to meet the expectations of its citizens are great. We feel that over the course of the next few years, that it is our responsibility to not only do the large highways, but also the small roads. And to that extent, you've heard the government commit to not just roads under this program, but under the Scotland District Rehabilitation Program. Indeed, only today I have agreed that there should be a round robin of the final contract with the Chinese government, so as to allow us to sign this contract within the next few days and return, so that that project can be started imminently for the benefit of the residents of the Scotland District.
Visitor arrivals, hotel occupancy, and airlift into Barbados have fallen for the first 5 months of the year, and the worrisome decline is expected to continue until the end of summer. That's according to the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association. In fact, data presented by the BHTA today showed that arrivals between January and May this year were almost half what they were for the same period in 2019, the last full year of tourism business before the COVID-19 pandemic curtailed travel. Hotel occupancy for the same period in 2022 was on average 13.1% less than in 2019. Looking forward, the number of inbound flights for the remaining summer months to the end of October are so far scheduled to be almost half of what obtained in 2019, although the BHTA acknowledged that some travelers may book last-minute trips and numbers could therefore increase. Tributes flowed today in word and song for literary icon Georgeammon during a memorial service held at the Frank Collymore Hall. Among those paying tribute were Prime Minister Mia Mottley, Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, and Lamin's daughter, Dr. Natasha Lamin Lee. She told the gathering her father's life seemed to be divided in chapters, all different but somehow connected.
That to do the best of one's ability, one should have no diversion, no distraction. My father was a master at that. For decades, he dedicated his life to exploring the power of the word. He had a wonderful delivery of it. He felt the need to share his thoughts and dreams for a future society with young writers and developing minds. He did this at sometimes great sacrifice of his family, but he kept the goal in mind. I have not always understood the passion that drove him, but when I see the lives that he has touched, the teaching, discussions, collaborations, and friendships that he has forged, I accept that this is what he had to do.
In other developments, Barbados on Thursday recorded 141 new COVID-19 cases, comprising 70 females and 71 males, from 576 tests conducted by the Best dos Santos Public Health Laboratory. Of the positive cases, 15 persons were under the age of 18 and 126 were 18 years and older. The number of people in isolation facilities was 130, while 1,165 people were in home isolation. The country has recorded 477 COVID-19 related deaths. 84,562 COVID-19 cases have been recorded since February 2020.
Regional and international news coming up after this short break.
Cure Oxygen is way more than just water. We infuse pristine water with over 1 billion tiny oxygen bubbles using our state-of-the-art process. The benefits of additional oxygen are huge, from strengthening your immune system to increasing energy levels, stamina, and sports performance. And that's not all. It also improves skin health, helps you sleep better, and reduces stress. Join the movement of people experiencing the benefits of Cure Oxygen. It's not hype, it's science.
Regional developments now. Authorities in the Bahamas are investigating a second suspected case of monkeypox. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville made the disclosure at a news conference today. More on this report from Our News, Bahamas.
And a Bahamian is now being monitored for a suspected case of monkeypox. Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville confirming the news today.
There's another suspected case in the country that we're monitoring. That individual went through the quarantine process for, I think, 21 days. And all of the contacts associated with that case is also being monitored. We are waiting on the final serology of samples to determine whether that is a suspected or confirmed case. This is a Bahamian case that we're watching very closely. And there has been in the history there is a history of contact with someone from a foreign country.
And finally, daunting and disturbing. That's how Abdullah Shahid, President of the 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly, described the worldwide statistics on road safety. He was addressing a two-day high-level meeting in New York aimed at improving global road safety.
The statistics on road safety are both daunting and disturbing. Nearly 1.3 million lives are claimed by road traffic accidents every year. As much as 3% of annual GDP in some countries is lost due to road accidents. And road traffic injuries are the leading cause of death for children and young adults aged 5 to 29 years. This trend can change. This trend must change. As the tragic toll on our roads rises, the time for action from governments, societies, and communities is now. Safe mobility systems offer the promise of a safer, healthier, and better future for everyone, everywhere. Let us seize this opportunity.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Medium bus terminals as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.